name is Boots Allen. The fly I'm going to be tying for you is a baitfish pattern I use for rooster fish and snook and triggerfish on the Pacific coast along Costa Rica and Panama, where I've been able to frequent for the past few years in the winter. One thing about snook, when I first started fishing for them, I was always told to really just go for white, use a white fly. I've used Kelly Gallup's Sex Dungeon in the past, which has worked fantastic, but I've also noticed it's not just something about white. There's also a variety of other colors and color contrasts that you can use, and this will be the fly I'll be showing you today, which is the one I use the most. This is just a standard saltwater hook. You can vary it by side. This is a Mustad, and I can't remember the actual number of the bend, but you can just vary the size depending on what you're going after, what you feel comfortable throwing, and all this. This is about a mid-sized hook. Start off with some flat wax nylon thread here, Danville, I believe. And this is a neon chartreuse, or something like neon chartreuse. And we'll just get that secured to the hook. It's a really, really simple fly. I mean, so stupidly easy to tie. It's almost embarrassing to tie it. Body material will be basically your crystal flash chenille, something akin to this. And this will be an olive, almost an evergreen. This will be your body material. Trim some of that off. Get your butt section tied in. Voila. Now I'm going to start bringing this forward, stopping my thread right about like so. And just wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. From here, I'm going to give it a bit of a shove back and just pack it in there and make it a wee bit tighter. And see if I can loosen my material from my thread, and I can. So we just pack that piece. I'm going to bring this forward again. Pack that back again a wee bit. That's just going to help you form a wee bit of a tighter body. And this is something that I do with just about any type of streamer. Anything I'm using with chenille, I'm just going to pack that body in there tighter than normal. And just slightly shove that back as well. I'm going to trim this down some and just make it a bit thinner, a little less robust. Now this didn't come about as forward as I wanted to with the material had, so I'm just going to go ahead and tie in just a wee bit more. And get that tied in. I really want to stop this fly right about there. So I'll wrap in just a little bit more. And this is just a simple thing to do to rescue your fly. If you watch some of Jack Dennis's fly tying videos, the guy rescues flies all the time. I think he does it on purpose just to show you how easy it is. So I'm going to stop that right there now. Again, give that a trim, get it down, a bit more of an aerodynamic body. And most of this body material is going to be covered up by your wing material. I'm sure this definitely plays a role. Okay, so we're stopping right there. And we're now going to tie in a whole set of wing materials for the top of the fly, the bottom, the lateral line, and just be stacking materials on top of each other. I'm going to tie in a little bit of kind of crystal flashaboo, I guess you would call this. This material came from Epoxy. I'm just going to need a few strands that will be tied in at the top of the fly. This will be extending off the fly by quite a bit. This will be the inside piece of the top. We're now going to tie in the top of the wing here. This isn't actually a wing, of course, but I think you get the idea. This is some Enrique Epoxy material here. That will extend off the back of the fly by quite a bit. And as you see, as we tie this material in, we're going to be creating some bulk here at the head, which will come in useful for the last bit of the fly. Now we're going to tie in the lateral line. And we'll tie in a little interior piece, and again we're going to be stacking this material on top of each other. Same as the blue interior piece, but this will be a bit lighter, almost a light yellow or an extremely light olive. It might be just a bit too much. I'm going to strip some of that away. Rotate this fly so she sits like so. Strip away a bit more. Don't need much there. There you go. We'll get another piece going on the other side of the fly, the other flank. And again, somewhat sparse, nothing too big here. Strip some of that away, still a bit too much. Now we'll tie in the exterior piece of the flank. Using the same EP material, but a different color. This is obviously olive. Strip some of that away as well. This does not have to be as thick. You'll notice a lot of this material is extending off the back of the hook, and we're going to be trimming that away when we finish this up. Get this next piece on the other lateral line. Strip away just a bit more. Now we'll tie in the belly material. And as you see, what this has is basically that very classic dark on top, light on bottom. Build this up just a bit more with some thread, almost like you'd see with a clouser. Lots of thread at the head. I'm just going to split this to let everyone see how that's going to go. You're going to have half the material on one side of the hook, half the material on the other side of the bend. And as you cast this, you do get into situations where a lot of this bottom material will swing around on one side of the fly, and you'll just have to adjust that when you see that occur. Now we're going to finish the head, and again, building up that head provides a purpose. It's going to be the base for a set of eyes. These are seeing eye eyes, not like prism eyes, right here. We will affix this to the head of this fly. I'll do that by placing some Zap-A-Gap on each side of the head. Get my eyes ready here. A little bit of a better eye there. There we go. Let's place just a wee bit, nothing too much. Get my thread out of the way. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and whip finish this and get this finished off so it doesn't screw with the eyes too much. Not whip finishing that too much at all, because we're going to place a whole bunch of epoxy on here that will allow us to finish off that head. Flip this over. And let's get those eyes on there. See how well that will ride there. Even them up some. While that cures, we're going to go ahead and get some epoxy set up here. And I'll just use this piece of cardboard here with a little advertisement on it and get this stuff mixed. First, getting some resin down. You don't need a whole bunch. This is the 5-minute stuff. And getting the hardener in there, and I don't use a bunch of the hardener. Boy, that stuff stinks. I'm just going to use a simple bodkin here and get her mixed together. You don't want to use too much hardener as it starts to get a bit opaque if you do that. And this still has a ton of clarity to it, which is the idea. Place a little bit more hardener in there, just a wee bit. Okay, it's going to be pretty gooey. But you're just going to shape this around that head. Place a little bit of it at a time. Go to the top here. I just touched that eye there to make sure that it had hardened in place, and it looks like it has. And I'm going to also get this up onto the wing as well, or the rest of the body, I should say. Bring that back just a wee bit. Bring it back a little bit more. Now we're going to let this harden by giving it a wee bit of a spin. Let that piece drip forward a wee bit. Maybe rotate it like that. There we go. Oop. Lock her in place. And we'll let that rotate for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll have a finished fly. Okay. So this epoxy has now hardened and dried, and that's the head that we have formed right there. I am now going to just begin to trim this body material down, and we'll be finished. Give it a little cut right about here. Now I'm going to spin her like so, and give her another little cut at an angle right about like so. And that allows a little bit more of the top to be sticking out over the bottom. You can see just a bit more, and I might give that just one more little cut. That exaggerates it just a wee bit. And there's your fly. And once again, just a solid fly for Pacific Coast saltwater fish, your rooster fish, your triggerfish, and your snook, and probably other fish that I haven't caught yet. But there she is, really, really simple, pretty lightweight. I guess it's a very light material, so yeah, it does ride high, but I typically am just fishing this with a floating line, and it's again, a pretty solid fly, so go out, tie it, and use it.